like what guys like and what girls like,
what men are physically
what they're attracted to,
and what women are physically
being
attracted
okay
to.
to
Why are
like,
you attracted to this? Why are you attracted to that kind of thing.
Was that a chorus, Bichet, that I heard, or duet?
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that.
Right.
And I want to also talk about this Bible study, because when she walked in, did you say, Lord have mercy?
Yeah, there was something like, it's the way she dressed. She has a very like lovely sense of style, right? So that's what I noticed first thing off the bat. And her hair was a little longer back then. You know what I mean? So it's really nice now, but like, you know, it's longer back then. So there's a different taste.
How's it going after 11 months of marriage?
We're blessed.
Yeah.
Truly, we're blessed. Like God has provided, like all of the things that we've been provided with, in just the 6 months that we've been together. It's been, especially with son on the way. So
Hey,
Yeah.
that's right. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
An unexpected surprise, but
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah. So we're blessed, and we have a great community around us. So it takes a village, right?
And
so,
a lot of ups and downs of like in terms of just like getting used to our different styles and like ways of being. I'm a lot more like this structured person, and he's a lot more like laid back.
Yeah.
So learning how to like, I don't know, meet each other has been definitely like the main thing that's been hard,
challenge.
but I find that we've both been really like flexible, so it's been able.
So it's been
yeah.
But, you know, Michael, you're 25.
Yes, sir.
Gabrielle, you're 23.
Yes.
Most people would say, wait. You know, you're too young. I'm sure you've heard that.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you say to people who said you're too young to get married?
I think, well, so I think we're all drawn to what's traditional. If you go outside of that, then, you know, obviously people are going to have a problem with that. But I honestly, I think that's, you know, that's where the best things in life, you know, the best moments in life happen, and that's where you end up being where you're supposed to be. So for me, I think how we came together was absolutely divinely led. I don't think it was just, you know, I don't think it was, exactly. There were a lot of things I think, we weren't in a rush to get in a relationship. That's the thing too. We weren't in a rush to get in a relationship when we met. And so we were just kind of submitted to something higher than ourselves. And it brought us to this, and it's been amazing. So that's all I can say on that. I can't really.
We are, of course, on this Valentine's Day talking about love. We're talking about new love. We're going to be talking later about seasoned love, but most importantly, black love on this Valentine's Day. Bichet, when you listen to them, including that duet, which just gave me butterflies because they said the exact same thing together. What do you hear?
I think the foundation is important. They're both talking about the core, and they're both talking about they met through God, right? Divine intervention, right? So we want to rely on that throughout your relationship when times get rough. You always go back to the source. I think that's important. I also noticed the eye contact that you guys had. You guys kept in eye contact. So you were checking on each other while you were speaking. And I think that's important. But when you said you talked about you guys have different styles, right? You want to make sure that you're communicating that. You don't just go by, well, this is what he does and this is what she does, and then you're operating without communicating the need or the necessity of change or adjusting. You guys got to keep communicating that.
Can I just say on that, just because literally I feel like that is something I personally have to work you know, as a woman, people always tell you that your husband should, like, you know, like, oh, he should get you these things and be this romantic person or do all this stuff and you shouldn't have to ask for or whatever. You have that expectation. And I personally have been, like, working against that in terms of allowing myself to say, like, well, this is what I like and I want this and maybe on this day we can do this. And instead of just, like, hoping he'll read my mind.
Yeah.
But then setting the expectation that, like, well, sometimes I'd like you to come up with the thing yourself or whatever, but just communicating that. So I just totally agree, because that's something I'm working on more myself, like towards him, and going against the expectation of what it should be like and setting the precedent, I guess, you know, for each other.
Because when you don't share, you're practicing self-neglect.
Yeah.
So you're telling yourself no. in addition to experiencing the no from him.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that.
So how do you address that? Because, and obviously you're very young in this marriage and a whole bit, but I mean it's well known, and I'm sure Vishay can attest to this, that women always want you to read their minds. Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's it's like bibbidi bobbidi boo. I mean, you've got. But how do you, when she has not said something that she wants, how do you as a new husband address that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I think, honestly, I think if she doesn't say it verbally, look, it's up to me to just study her, right, outside of the verbal space, right. I think of it as like, I was listening to a podcast one time, and this guy was saying that, hey, I've studied my wife since we've dated, and I've kind of graduated, right? Like when you study in college, you get your associates, and then your masters, and I don't know if I did that in the right order, but right. So he had the same mentality with his wife, right? I study her, and I hope to like, elevate in that. So I'd say I just try to study her outside of the verbal space, and of course, looking up to the one who knows her best and designed her, I honestly just ask God, how to maneuver it. And a lot of times I find myself in a space where I'm kind of moving into these spaces of giving her things that I wasn't, I didn't have the knowledge that she even wanted, right? And it's because I'm submitting myself to that higher source. So.
Gabrielle, how did you know that he was the one? Was there an aha moment, or was it gradual? Because he said there was no rush to get married. So
I say this a lot, and it doesn't sound very romantic, but I always say that I didn't pick him. I always say that, like, and I will preface by saying my mom, she asked God when she was young to just bring her husband, and that's what happened. Brought it. They didn't pick each other. They just it was brought together. And when I knew that story, when I heard that story, I asked the same thing. And from a very young age, I was like, I love love, but I don't care. I'm not into like the whole thing. I love romantic movies, but I don't need the romance story. Yeah. Just bring me my husband. I'll marry him. If you say it's him, I'll marry him. And so I went through a few guys that I thought God was saying that's the one, but no, it definitely wasn't. But when I met Michael, one of the very first conversations that we had when we were like interested in each other, but we were just meeting, like it's a date, but not really a date, and we were talking about what we wanted in a relationship, but not about or towards each other, just in the grand scheme. And everything that he was saying, like both divinely and personally, were like on the same wavelength of what I desired. And even to the way that he was able to communicate things I had yet to be able to communicate about what I wanted, he wanted for himself. And so that was one of the initial moments where I was like, there is something else happening here that's beyond what I could have even picked for myself, And as we continued to kind of just get to know each other, one of the key factor from my mind that was like, this is what God has for me. This is what I want for myself too. Is we were able to talk about all kinds of things and hard conversations and very, and early too, like able to get deep about things that were challenging, and it pointed in the direction of like, this is someone I want to be able to talk to for the rest of my life. Yeah.
So, Vishay, you know what I'm listening to, what I not only hear from the two of them, but I also feel, and let me put a qualifier in this. Michael is my daughter's age. Okay. There is a maturity here that I would argue is really unique, that makes this young union seem to me to fit. there's, and I'm sure they have their silly stuff, and I'm sure, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, you play Madden and all of that stuff. Yeah, nobody does that. But do you feel that same sense of maturity?
Absolutely, especially in the communication. You guys are talking a lot. I do want to give y'all a cheat code though, right? Instead of guessing, right? Check in. So check in the morning, check in at night. Like, how was your day? Is there something that you would change in your day? Is there something that I could have did differently? How can I love you today? And then you check in at night. How did I love you today? So you want to really check in and not just guess all the time, right? Because part of the studying is asking questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
I love because we love talking to each other, and I think just another that's like another thing we can like talk about, and I love that. I love that.
That's good. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me write that one down. How do you deal with problems?
Ooh. That's a good question. Can I?
Yeah. Oh, take it.
I think because I'm the one who usually has the problem, like with, because you know, I think I usually I like things a certain way, and I'm working on myself being able to be a bit more flexible, or at least to be able to communicate, you know, what I don't like or what I do like or whatever. But you know, because I'm a lot more structured and he's a lot more like loose, like whatever. You know, I find that like it's. There, especially early on when we first moved into our apartment, I was realizing that like, oh man, he will just let things happen and hopefully things will fall into place, and that's just like not the way that I move. And initially, how I dealt with it was like punch a wall a couple times and like try to blow it over because I needed it. I can get like a little like heated about that stuff, but I won't yell. I'm not a yeller. I don't do that. For me, like what I personally did was I had to talk about it to myself first, like have the conversation of figuring out what am I angry about, like what am I mad about, what do I expect of him that that maybe I haven't communicated yet or that I have communicated. And then I had to talk. My biggest asset was talking to my mom and talking to people in my life that I trusted, and just express to them like this is getting on my last nerve, you know, and hearing, being willing to hear a different perspective, being able to hear you're wrong about this, you're right about this. But I think for me, it was really just being able to like to be honest with myself about what I'm not happy with, what I can bend and what I can't bend with, and the biggest mark was on being able to not remove, but realize the expectations that I was setting for him, that I had not communicated yet, and how to at least figure out if these are expectations that he could actually meet. If not, what can he meet, you know? But yeah, it was just really, for me, it was just learning how to be flexible and communicate and like understand you, not just with what I want, but like with who you are. But yeah.
So how do you deal with her problem?
So you answered beautifully, by the way, love. On my end, I think I understood what my part was whenever she brought a problem to me, was to always start in a place of not trying to defend myself, but taking the hits, because they do feel like hits, right? But that's a good thing, right? It's a good thing, right? Right. So I think for me it was all about humility, right? Just kind of she brings a problem, I immediately take a knee, right? I don't try to make up excuses, even if there is a reasonable reason as to why the problem occurred. But I just try to.
Eventually, we talk about that. But
I just try to be open and just be willing to be wrong. I'd say and that would be my advice on the on the men's, whoever's listening.
Even when you're right. Just be wrong.
Be open to be wrong.
But Shay, you've got an event that is perfect for this conversation coming up. Share that with us.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about the same things you guys are talking about. It's called the Stronger Together Tour. It's myself, another black male clinician, and we're doing love maps. We're giving interventions and tools for couples, young and old, new and seasoned, as you said. And we're going to have food. We're going to have drinks there. entertainment. It's going to be fun, but we're going to give you the psychological tools that you need to sustain your marriage, sustain your relationship. So it's a lot of divisiveness out there on social media, and we want to challenge that.
So how can people find out about where and when? How can they get more information?
So you can go to strongertogethertour.com. It's on there, but it's this Saturday, and it's from 2 to 5 on U Street, 1508 U Street. Please come out.
Yeah.
StrongerTogetherTour.com.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Look, I am happy for you all.
Thank you.
Congratulations, not only on your marriage, on the baby, but I think you all are a great example for not just young couples, but, you know, I mean, you all are giving me butterflies and all of that. Thank you so very much, Michael and Gabrielle Young. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And look, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So look, we're going to take a break. But don't forget, you can hear every edition of the Daily Drum Insight segment via podcast on WHUR.com. And you can download the 96.3 HD2 app on your smartphone and hear the program live in its entirety. Stay with us. The Daily Drum on WHUR and WHUT and Sirius XM Channel 141 will continue in just a bit. John Mons is next with the original Quiet Storm. That's on WHUR. We'll be back with this Valentine's Day, this Black Love conversation in just a bit.